In 1978, I was part of a retreat in San Diego for the military, and there were a bunch of us therapists there as facilitators, helping people in the military and sometimes their dependents. And one of my fellow therapists, a woman, turned to me and she said, "Do you know anybody who hasn't been abused, sexually abused?" And I went, "No, I haven't met anybody who hasn't been abused." And I'm just saying that to say the prevalence of abuse. And I've worked in countries in Asia, countries in Europe, North America. Certainly was rampant in our First Nations people, because their family, the children were taken away for over 80 years and taken away to government schools, and sexual predators from all over North America went to those schools and just feasted on those children. And they guessed that 90% of the children were raped or molested on a daily basis, which meant they took these back to the reserves, and it brought these kinds of problems, incest and rape and molestation, to an epidemic proportion. Now, all of these patterns can be healed. And one of the things that I have found is that if you can forgive a perpetrator, it's like you can actually bring healing not just to yourself. Forgiveness is for you. It gets you over the past, so you have a renaissance in your life. But it can be passed through them to heal all the people that were in their network of people that they victimized, and everyone who victimized them. So you can create a very powerful gift here of healing that can go through if you're willing to take that step, because otherwise it becomes an excuse not to show up. It becomes an excuse not to be the sexual person you are. There's so many wounded people sexually, and again, given where society is, I say most people, average people, are running at about 20% of their sexual energy, and gifted people are only running at about 30%. Hopefully our kids will have the courage to be the sexual leaders. And this is that there's a naturalness around sex, because the ego, because sex is so powerful as a force, it puts in so much guilt and shame in there that people back off from it. So one of the things I've found is that everybody who's been abused actually has a sexual gift, but we're frightened of it. That part of their purpose was and is to transform sex in the world, to bring it to naturalness, to bring it to innocence, to bring it back to love. But seeing the condition of the world is in regard to sex, they got frightened, they backed off. And being abused is a really good excuse not to show up sexually. It's to really close off that whole area. So there's many ways that sexual abuse can be healed. And if it's just happened, you need to just comfort and love and support the person. But as they're ready, they can begin looking at those subconscious patterns that are going on, and even the unconscious, the ancestral patterns that can be healed, the soul patterns that are brought in. And all of this can be transformed so that sex comes back as this transcendent creative force, this force for health. Because if you cut off sexuality, you cut off your vitality. And these are very important areas. You cut off your creativity. You cut off your spirituality. You can't be half-hearted in this regard. I've worked with sex so many times over these last 38 years. I once did a workshop in Switzerland that was called Rewriting Your Life Script. And one or two of the sections I did every day for healing were, people kept bringing up sexual problems. And so this was a core thing in rewriting your life script, to rewrite your sexuality, because how your sex is reflecting how your life is. It's just a reflector. And if you change the reflector, you can change your whole life. It's one of the principles of hypnosis. Get something to symbolize the problem, change the symbol, and it changes the problem. So, sex is this great force that most of us are frightened of. We're afraid of that. We're afraid we'll lose our integrity because it's such a powerful force. So it's how to learn how to use this force with integrity, because where abusers come in, what they've been missing in their life, they try to take from children or other people, and they try to get it. And of course, it makes them more guilty. That doesn't satisfy them. It actually makes them more of a perpetrator, more of an abuser. And of course, this builds up in victims, so that sometimes victims either back away from life or become abusers themselves or become super controllers in life. But we need to commit to our sexuality. We need to commit to our healing, because all of this can be healing. If you're not afraid to go through all the emotions involved, just that alone will bring you to a new birth. So, time to get your sex back, because it's one of the bridges of communication. It's one of the things that can make your partnership, beautiful and easy. And it's not just about sex. It's about life. So, time to welcome sex back. Thank you.